We live in this world where you think everything's tracked right. Satellites watching, digital trails for every journey. So how can this idea of a ghost ship even be a thing anymore? I mean, really, could a huge ship packed with cargo, full crew, just disappear? Or turn up, floating empty, but otherwise fine? Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Today we're tackling something, well, frankly unsettling. The ghost ships of our time, the 21st century. We're talking modern ships, loaded with tech, found adrift, empty. It just defies logic. So our mission for this deep dive is to really try and get our heads around these modern maritime mysteries. Why do they keep happening?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because we've had ghost ship stories for centuries. The famous ones, like the Mary Celeste just found sailing along, nobody aboard, or the Flying Dutchman cursed forever, and that really chilling one, the Octavius, the crew supposedly frozen solid in the Arctic ice. Brr.
Yeah, those old legends are spooky. But like you said, they come from a different era. Superstition, maybe terrible weather, basic human error before all the tech. But that's the key difference now, right? In this age, with GPS, with constant comms, how does a modern ship just vanish or get found empty? It feels different.
Exactly. That's the core of it. Maritime travel got incredibly sophisticated, but then this new kind of ghost ship starts appearing, and their abandonment is baffling because of the technology. It's not just a lost ship. It's a ship and its crew falling off this, global grid. These are the real modern puzzles. They make you question how much we really see, how much control we actually have out there.
Okay, so these modern enigmas, are there specific cases that really stand out? Ones where the tech makes it more confusing, not less. Maybe we should unpack a couple.
Absolutely. A really crucial one, kind of bridging the old and new, is the MV Joyita. That was back in 1955. So not strictly 21st century, I know, but the tech was advanced enough then that its disappearance was already, well, baffling. It was a fishing vessel found in the South Pacific, listing badly, and the weird detail, its clutch was disengaged.
Disengaged, meaning what exactly?
Basically, the engine was running, or could have been, but wasn't connected to the propeller, like it was suddenly stopped, or someone deliberately put it in neutral, just leaving it adrift.
Huh, okay. And the people?
All gone. 25 people, crew and passengers, plus the cargo. And crucially, no lifeboats were found with the ship either. Theories popped up, of course. Piracy, maybe, but the cargo wasn't that valuable. Mutiny, sudden failure. But the thing that still gets people, absolutely no SOS, no radio call, nothing, just silence, then an empty, damaged ship.
Wow, okay. Even for 55, that's deeply weird. But fast forward then to something like the MV High Aim 6, 2003, right? That feels like it hits this modern paradox square on. What's the story there?
Oh, the High Aim 6 is, deeply chilling. It's a Taiwanese fishing trawler found drifting near Australia. And what they found on board is just astonishing. Food still out, personal stuff everywhere, a full catch of fish packed in the freezer. Looked like the crew just, paused for lunch. But the entire crew, 11 men, totally gone, vanished. The only things missing were the crew themselves and the ship's 2 life rafts.
And no sign of trouble. No fight, no damage.
Nothing. Absolutely no indication of a struggle, no mayday call, no obvious mechanical failure. Get this, the engine was actually still running, on idle, just purring away.
That's unreal. So what happened?
Nobody knows. It's completely unsolved. A total mystery for the authorities. It's maybe the perfect example. An intact ship just missing its people, like they were beamed off or just stepped into another dimension. It's that bizarre.
Okay, that is properly spooky. Then there's the Lyubov Orlova case from 2013. That one sounds almost like a movie plot. A rogue cruise ship.
Yeah, the Orlova is a strange one. It was an old Soviet-era cruise ship, quite run down. It was being towed away to be scrapped. But then it broke free from the tow line during a storm off Canada, and despite having tracking devices, an AIS transponder, it just vanished.
Vanished. Completely.
Well, mostly. It was spotted, visually a couple of times by other ships shortly after, but conditions were too rough, they couldn't recapture it. So it became this rogue ghost ship, a potential danger just drifting out there in the North Atlantic. The really weird part. Sometimes its transponder would start pinging again.
Wait, the transponder came back on? On an empty, derelict ship?
No. Exactly. These things broadcast identity and position. They need power. So for it to suddenly start transmitting, well, it suggested maybe some backup power kicked in intermittently. Or, well, the less rational thought is, was someone briefly aboard? Or just some kind of ghost signal. It really fueled the mystery. Did it eventually sink? Probably. Or is it still out there, this big rusting hulk? People speculated about maybe scavengers, rat gangs, they call them, getting aboard. Or maybe it just succumbed to the waves. But yeah, defying tracking, those phantom signals, that's what makes it so eerie.
So, okay, we have these cases, the Joyita, High Aim 6, Orlova, where the standard explanations, basic mechanical failure, obvious piracy, they just don't seem to fit, right?
Yeah.
So what else could be going on? What are the more, let's say, extreme possibilities people look at when an entire crew vanishes like that?
Well, you have to consider extreme nature itself. Road waves, for instance. We know they exist, these single massive waves, much larger than the surrounding sea state. Could one just sweep the deck clean? Or cause such catastrophic damage that abandoning ship is the only option? Maybe too fast for an SOS? It's possible, but it often doesn't quite explain those ships found perfectly intact, like the High Aim 6. You'd expect more damage, wouldn't you?
Right. And I think I read somewhere about a really out there theory. Something about methane from the seabed.
Yeah, the methane hydrate expulsion theory. It's highly speculative, mind you. The idea is a sudden, massive release of methane gas from the ocean floor could erupt under a ship. This could theoretically reduce the water density so drastically, so suddenly, that the ship loses buoyancy almost instantly and sinks like a stone. Or perhaps just capsize violently. Again, finding solid evidence this has actually happened in these specific ghost ship cases, very difficult. It's mostly theoretical.
Okay. What about modern piracy? Maybe not for treasure, but kidnapping, ransom.
Modern piracy is definitely still a threat in certain waters, yes. And it can involve kidnapping or forcing crews off their vessels. But usually there are signs of boarding, a struggle, maybe demands made later, or at least some communication attempt picked up somewhere. In many of these really baffling ghost ship cases, that evidence is just missing. It's too clean.
Which brings us back to the human element on board. Could it be internal, like mutiny? Or maybe something complex, like insurance fraud?
Both are possibilities investigators always have to consider. A mutiny, a sudden violent conflict that could absolutely result in one group disappearing, maybe forced overboard or escaping in life rafts, leaving the ship adrift. An insurance fraud, deliberately sinking or abandoning a ship, it certainly happens. But that usually involves planning, maybe leaving subtle clues of sabotage, or there's a financial paper trail that points towards it. Often, these deep mysteries lack that clear motive or evidence trail.
And I suppose the most extreme human factor is something psychological, like mass panic or something else.
People sometimes float ideas like mass hysteria, a shared delusion. It sounds dramatic, like something from a movie. But honestly, for an entire experienced crew, it's considered extremely unlikely by maritime experts and investigators. What really haunts investigators, what they'll tell you, is the absence. The lack of a distress call, the missing emergency beacon signals, the lack of bodies. It's like the whole event, ship and crew, just dissolved. Evaporated. That's a good word for it. It's that absolute lack of a trace, despite all our technology, that just gnaws at you, doesn't it? If even these, speculative theories often fall short, and what does that really tell us? Are we just missing something obvious? Or is the ocean capable of just erasing things perfectly? I think what it tells us is less about finding one single answer that fits all cases, and more about acknowledging that there are perhaps these perfect storms of circumstance, conditions where a vessel, crew, everything can just slip through the cracks of our surveillance or understanding without leaving the kind of signal we expect. It suggests maybe a fundamental vulnerability out there, an edge condition where technology fails and the sea simply takes over silently. And, beyond the pure mystery, the human tragedy of it all, these modern ghost ships, they create real-world problems. Big ones.
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's not just a spooky story. These are real hazards, right?
Absolutely. An unlit, drifting vessel, especially a large one, is a serious danger to other ships. And if it's carrying fuel or hazardous cargo, it's an environmental ticking time bomb. It puts maritime authorities in a really tough spot.
And I imagine just finding them is a nightmare. The ocean's huge. If the transponder's off or dead.
Exactly. Locating them is incredibly difficult, resource-intensive. Think needle in a haystack. But the haystack is thousands of square miles of ocean. And then, if they do find it, the legal mess begins. Who actually owns the cargo now it's abandoned? Who pays for the salvage, which can cost millions? What happens with insurance when the why is a total unknown?
So the mystery just kind of breeds more problems, more costs, more questions.
Pretty much. Chasing these phantom ships, trying to resolve what happened. It often becomes this massive, expensive effort that leads to, well, often very few concrete answers. Which, in a way, just adds to the whole enigma, doesn't it?
It really does. So, wrapping this up, it feels like the main takeaway here is pretty stark, isn't it? Yeah. Even now today, with satellites mapping almost every inch of the planet, the modern ghost ship is this powerful, humbling reminder. The ocean. It's still the ultimate wilderness,
Yeah.
still capable of just swallowing our most advanced creations, leaving literally no trace behind.
Yeah. These ships aren't just maritime puzzles. They're kind of chilling symbols, aren't they? Symbols of the limits of our knowledge, our control. Testaments to nature's raw power, its unpredictability. And maybe they represent that unsettling idea that some things out there just aren't meant to be explained. Some secrets remain the ocean's own.
So as long as we keep sailing out into that vast blue unknown, it seems the modern ghost ship will keep appearing, haunting the edges of our maps, our understanding. A reminder that even in the 21st century, the sea holds on to its deepest, darkest secrets. What does that enduring mystery tell you, listening right now, about our place?